everyone! Today we're going to learn how to transfer these stencils onto your cakes for those more intricate designs. So first, we always have to start off with making sure that we are frosting and crumb coating our cake. So for this, we're using a chocolate cake and my American buttercream. So making sure, again, that you're going through and getting your edges nice and smooth as we're going across on there. You can see going back a couple of times for that crumb coat. Doesn't have to be perfect. Then as we go through for our final decorating or buttercream topping, going through, smoothing it as we're going across. Again, using my bench scraper here, making sure that I'm getting it nice and smooth. Any of those extra spots I'm going through and filling in with my buttercream to make sure that I get a really nice consistent frosting as we're going across for the sides. Once I feel like those are in a good place, adding more buttercream as I need, making sure we're doing really long drawn out strokes. Go to the top and make sure we get that nice and smooth. Again, filling in any spots that we see. You'll see we do this a couple of times back and forth to make sure that we get those really crisp edges that I like to have on my cakes. So here I printed off an image of the KU mascot, and I'm going through with just a really fine black buttercream frosting, my small open tip, and going through and tracing it across. So for this, I taped a piece of parchment paper over it and attached it to a cake board. That just made it really easy for me to make sure that it was steady and I wasn't going to have to keep adjusting it as I was going through. So go through and trace out all of the details that you want to make sure you get transferred across. I knew this mascot had a lot of details going on, and there was no way that I could have free-handed this, even doing the outline myself, so this was definitely my best way. Also make sure when you're getting those images that you know which way it wants to look. So for this one, I actually had or found an image that was kind of reversed in the way that he typically looks, because I wanted to make sure that when I transferred it, it's going to be that inverted image for it. So only thing you'll see here is the KU is actually in the right direction. Didn't necessarily realize that till after the fact, but that's okay. It's easy to cover up those mistakes and edit those as you're going through. You'll see too in here, there's a lot of really small details, like small printed things. It's okay if that doesn't always come across perfectly on your image. So I flipped it over, threw it into the fridge, and once it was nice and hardened, I lifted off that parchment paper. And then I got to decorating. So I noticed my mistake on the KU, so I went ahead and automatically updated that. And essentially it was kind of like a paint by number. I had my computer pulled up with an image of the actual mascot and just kind of followed through of what should go where for it. So started with my white, moved on to my blue, just using the same star tip. That way I knew I had consistent sizes and that everything would be pretty uniform as I was going through on this cake. So again, you'll see some of those smaller, like feathers, don't necessarily transfer through, but as long as you have a good enough grasp on it, it's not the end of the world for sure. And for me, I found it really helpful to just kind of go in the flow of what that cake or his beak looked like. That way I made sure nothing was getting missed and it flowed in the right direction. So adding my final touches with my red here. And there we have it. So I wanted to make sure and add a border think it just kind of cleaned it up a little bit. So going through and piping along as we're going here for it. So one of your more traditional borders, but it really went with the style of the cake. Then for this cake, he is a KU basketball fan, so I wanted to add some basketballs to really draw that out. So I used one of my biscuit cutters actually to make sure I got uniform circles across and spaced them out. And then I freehanded going through adding the basketball lines for each of those circles. So started with my black first, that way I made sure I got it all evenly squared across and went through with the rest of the cake here. Then went back around and filled in those basketballs with my orange. Again, using the outline I had and just filling in those spots in between. And going around till we get that very last one on there. Alright, so there you guys pretty well have it. That's how I was able to transfer that design onto my cake. It turned out like this. They were super happy with it. If you want more content, be sure to subscribe and follow me on Instagram or Facebook. Thanks, guys.